Welcome to the Wrap Up, a VR live stream focused on keeping you up to date with the adoption of universal profiles and growth of the new creative economy. Join us as we uncover the fusion of technology, artistry, and innovation that's redefining how we create, share, and experience in this digital age. It's time to wrap it up. Welcome back to the Wrap Up, everyone. Today's March 15th. The year is 2024. And before we dive into today's topics, take a moment to click that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps a ton and ensures that you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. Also, what you hear in this podcast is just our opinion and not professional financial advice. We're not experts. If you need specific advice, please ask someone who's a professional in that area. Listen at your own risk and always double check before making decisions based upon what we talk about. Whew. All right, Alt, it's been a long night, huh?
Yeah, had to be up, stayed up late, make sure we got them Platties minted. It was they went fast, like 3 minutes, and poof, the public supply was gone. Sounds like we get the reveal tomorrow sometime, so I can't wait to see what we got and goodies rocking as far as drip on our Platties. But yeah,
Yeah,
the vibes have been good.
vibes have been awesome. And look at those buttes, those lovely Platties there. You know, I'm actually really interested to see the reveal because the fact of the matter is, looking at all this sample art, there's way more variety in this collection than I originally anticipated.
Same, yeah. And you're talking it's not just a typical PFP where it's bust up. It's like this is full body. So they got shoes on, they got all sorts of different stuff. So the amount of accessories and stuff I think are probably just insane. I bet at this point. It's probably a lot to juggle. And they still had more than they needed and they were probably had to go through the process of narrowing down, which is difficult as well. So yeah, kudos to the team.
Yeah, so that's really our top story today. We're talking about the Platties. And last night, a very tired Alt, Rob, and ETH stayed awake to make this happen because it was 2 o'clock Eastern time. That's in the morning when when this thing dropped. Uh, if I hadn't already been awake talking to alts at midnight, I definitely would have gone to sleep. But the power of companionship, especially when Rob jumped into a chat we were having, enabled us to all power through and mint some Platties. We got lucky. We all managed to hit that lottery because it was a very, very competitive minting environment. If you look at a tweet from Hans, there were 3,300 Platties and they minted out in 4 freaking minutes. And Hans says, this is firsthand evidence of how awesome the art, the project is, and how much the community loves the Platties. And he gives congratulations to the team at Platties. What I want to say about this alt is, it minted out fast, but Platties has also been really aggressively marketing not only to the LUKSO ecosystem, but to the greater, let's call it NFT collecting community or
Yeah.
Web3 community with NFT Daily. So obviously this paid dividends for him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've been teasing this art for a long time, so everybody's just been anxious. And it's still not a lot going on in this chain. So when you give us some good stuff, we're hungry for it.
Yeah, we're actually really hungry for pretty much anything, and you can see that. But you can see some of the other mints that have been going on in the ecosystem really slowed down or to a crawl. Platties, as we mentioned before, just like exploded out the gates and minted out. I think that there's definitely people in the community aren't going to just throw their lucks at anything anymore. They're going to throw it at something that they believe in. So obviously the Platties team has hit upon a really special formula. If you're a creator in the space, maybe you want to pay attention to what they're doing and model after them because this is obviously successful. The Platties official account says, "Wow, we're not really sure." I want to read it in an Australian accent, but I'm not good
Please
at
do.
it. Wow, no, that's terrible. Like Crocodile Dundee. Wow, we're not really entirely sure what to say. Sorry, Harry. Except thank you. We're still in a bit of shock. The words express exactly how grateful we are. Can't be expressed right now. So thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow in the reveal, and we'll be online all night, our time, to hang out, Harry, and Team Platties. So when reveal alt? When is that happening?
Sometime tomorrow. I can't remember what the specifics were when I saw the time, and it might have been locals CET time, I think, as well. So I'm not sure exactly. I don't want to quote a number or a time because I don't know exactly, but I believe it's tomorrow.
7 a.m. It's right there on the screen. Look at that.
Oh, beautiful. Bam. Yes. 7 a.m. CET. So I don't know how that translates. I got to figure out to my local time.
I have no idea what the local time is for me either, but 7 a.m. Central European time, they're going to press the reveal button. And after that, we're all going to figure out what cute little Platties that we have in our hopper. If you're someone who missed out on the original mint, I'm sure there'll be a lot on the secondary market. There'll be people who will be looking to give you their Platties in exchange for Lux. And you know what I have to say about that? God damn it. Good. We call that transactions on the network, and I'll take friggin' anything right now.
We like transactions on the network for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Also, are you hoping for any particular Platy trait that you saw?
Yeah, a
Uh,
Meta heads hat. Cute
Metaheads.
throwback. I love that they added that in there. I would definitely be down to scope one off the secondary. If I don't reveal one, I'll be on the hunt.
You'd be on the hunt. All
Yeah.
right, here. Um, I have a question for you then. Do you have any Metaheads Alpha? The people are dying to know.
Um, Soon, TM. We are finalizing the quantum protocol to be able to move the collection from Ethereum over to LUKSO. So yeah, we're kind of in the final stages of that, and can't wait to get the ball rolling for the rest of chapter one.
Yeah, we really have been waiting for the opportunity to do this on Luxo so we can all be a happy fam together on the Pink Money Network. And it's just taken a long time to get here, but once we actually make a landing, once the Genesis bowler touches down, it's going to be an exciting time for everyone who has been with us ride or die, and for everyone who didn't want to get involved. Well, you're just going to have to be sitting on the outside like that meme, staring through the window like a creep, because we're not going to let you in, not right away at least.
But yeah, you're gonna have to be patient. But yeah, our goal is to just kind of show everybody else, what we're all about in this during this chapter one, and just have some fun. So yeah, I'm ready to get those meta heads vibes going again. It's gonna be great.
Uh-huh. Okay, so transitioning really towards maybe like the top story that's not talking about Platties. Let's say you're not interested in Platties, but instead you're interested in this general purpose EVM that Luxo is, and what's been going on with the tech team as they've been moving around the space trying to educate people. We've got some tweets from our friend Yaman. You know why I like Yaman? He's got a beard, right? You put a beard on, I immediately respect it. Oh, Jesus. All right. So Yaman says this is part of a longer tweet. We just pulled some snippets out. It says in the blockchain space, taking a new direction by using new standards is a courageous step. Totally friggin' agree. Right. There's a large amount of risk there, and you're definitely taking off into uncharted territory instead of walking in other people's footprints. The Luxo ecosystem has chosen this path, well aware of the challenges in integrating with existing protocols. Yet the potential of these standards is undeniable. Protocols like Universal Page and Universal Swaps have already shown a tiny bit of this potential, and I stress tiny, right? A lot of people are looking at things like Universal Page or Universal Swaps and saying, I don't see anything different. Well, it's barely scratching the surface of what's possible, because a lot of the power that is going to start coming out um, for the user has to really be revealed as we continue to move forward into time, because we need more interaction on the network. We need more social applications built onto the transactions, and we're starting to see this. But I'm ad-libbing. Let me continue to go down alts. Demonstrating the potential of these standards isn't about spamming people to check out Luxo and the LSPs, right? Like, it's not about getting into people's replies and being like, invest in Luxo, buy Lix, or I'll come to your house. And, that's probably not what we want. Rather, we've got to showcase the protocols and DApps being built on Luxo. So a better way would be like, hey, I really like your interest in Web3. Check out this really cool feature from Universal Page that just launched. That's a better way to kind of spread the Luxo gospel than just to be like, pink, like Lix is going to the moon underneath
Right.
every Ethereum maxi, right? Also,
Well, I think so. I mean, especially kind of where we're at now with mainnet having been live for, we're coming up on a year pretty soon, before too long. And then now we have things to showcase, right? So that's kind of what it's all about now. We had to just kind of extrapolate out with our imaginations and talk about standards and stuff, and try to imagine this stuff. But no, things are live, so it's like you can really start to showcase people, what the UX, this new UX is all about, and now as you see more projects and more dApps going live, we get to lean into what these standards are all about as well. So yeah, I think it'll get easier, as we move forward for sure.
Yeah, if you checked out Universal Page, they've got that new social feature, which we'll highlight further in the show here. And if you've gone on Universal Swaps and you've played around with it at all, you can see that when you look at the activity in the pools, if someone's using a Universal Profile, it's very transparent who is doing what, which you could be afraid of, but it also adds for some really interesting use cases that have been discussed at tables where we've been around. Like, if you ever wanted to follow trade Alt Anonymous, it's going to be right there and available for you. You'll see exactly what he does, good, bad, or indifferent. Sorry, Alt. Sorry to put you out there.
Indifferent AF, yeah.
Uh,
No, but yeah, it's a new shift, and just in blockchain experience in general, right?
Yeah, totally new user experience, which if we're looking for a one-liner in talking to Sage from KEEZ, a lot of the narrative that he's pushing and that I agree, honestly, even though I want to slap him sometimes, is like the one-liner is this is about user experience. This is about changing the user experience. Now, not only for the end user, which is the person who is using the blockchain to just like, maybe collect NFTs or do some swaps, but also the user experience of the developer, right? So the developer
Right.
is going to have new and interesting ways to interact with the blockchain. And that part of the user experience is what the team's been focused on over in Oxford or in over in over in London right now. And then in Denver a week and a half ago. But it's often overlooked in our community. We don't talk enough about how the developer user experience is really changing here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And it's tough too because when you're in it, it's like, we're just seeing it kind of one development at a time, and it just continues to just kind of stack up on that, right? But some newcomers coming in, it's like they have a completely different perspective. They get to see like, oh man, look at this completely new set of standards and completely new UX. I can just use my email and don't have to mess with seed phrases and gasless transactions and things. So it's like it's a little bit tougher to kind of see the scope of it when you're in it, right? But I think as we keep stacking things, it's going to get easier and easier to just explain what we're all about.
Yeah, as a developer, you've got upgradable metadata. You've got all kinds of interesting things, and that is probably a very simple use case, although powerful. That I'm talking about just from a developer standpoint, being able to interact with a token contract and upgrade the metadata. That is interesting. So actually, this kind of when we're talking about the developer experience, this goes on with like the last part of Yaman's tweet that we wanted to mention here. And Yaman says, okay, we're talking about UX for developers, but since the space is financially oriented, and I'm going to ad lib here, a lot of the developer mind share is really focused around the use case that the Ethereum L1 nailed in building this financial infrastructure, the settlement layer, right? Yaman
Yeah.
says, with money driving people to explore new ecosystems and opportunities, that's both the end user and the developer, integrating with DeFi protocols is essential. Again, ad libbing for the Luxo network. This will later expand to the social aspect already present with the use of universal profiles. So there's already a social graph that's being established, a connectivity between the user accounts, which are universal profiles, and that socialization, not like we're all sharing the financial, like Alt and I aren't sharing incomes, right? Like not that idea, but instead like this idea that his account and my account are attached in a unique and interactive way is going to leak back to those DeFi protocols, like we mentioned before, with under collateralized lending, potentially as being an end game, but there's a lot of other things that could come up and prop up around it. And Yaman closes by saying, this is not solely the responsibility of the team behind Luxo and the foundation. It's the collective responsibility of everybody building and supporting the Luxo ecosystem, which is why we have been railing on pink money, right? We believe that DeFi is an important subsect of all of the potential use cases that could pop up on a general purpose EVM. Now, if you don't believe that Luxo is a general purpose EVM, then you should potentially read this tweet from Fabian. uh, Fabian says, great wrap up episode. I couldn't say it any better than Ethelarian put it. Now, thank you, Fabian. I appreciate that. It's just verbal vomit coming out of my mouth, right? But yes, Luxo is not a fashion blockchain. It's the Ethereum for normies. Once the standards get properly leveraged, it's already there waiting to unfold. Hmm.
I like that.
Powerful statement. Alts, add your thoughts.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it is what we make of it, right? I think there's some vision to kind of get us the ball rolling, but it's kind of like if you just kind of go back in time to Ethereum in 2000, 16, what people were even back then when they were trying to imagine, what the network was going to be like, they probably couldn't quite grasp what it was going to be, right? So it's more like Luxo's I always love that Fabian said, Luxo is meant to be a common good. It's and like we say, it's for the people to use and kind of build out what they want to see it be, right? So that's kind of what it's all about. And I think that's what he's talking about here, which I really, really, really vibe with.
I like that. Yeah, and I want to harp on the Ethereum for normies. And if you need to read the word again, Rob, can we get it back on the screen? Ethereum for normies. Now, what we're talking about there is not Ethereum for like the power user of Ethereum that already has 15 hot wallets and 10 ledgers hanging out in their house. And they've got all the pieces of paper, maybe some titanium that they've put their seed phrases in. Like, we're not talking about those people. We're talking about the normal people that literally would very much struggle to engage in in this ecosystem without having some training wheels on. It's like
Right.
if you ever bowled, you go to the bowling alley and they put the inflatable bumpers that go down the side so you can't throw a gutter ball, right? Like
Luxo is the bumpers.
that's what we need. Like it's like putting bumpers on this experience so you can't roll the gutter ball, which is like one of the catastrophic situations that cause people to lose their accounts and
Yes.
lose their
Yeah.
assets. Now, can this still happen? Yeah, it can. Why? Because right now we're still in beta, and there have been some instances where people haven't backed up their universal profile in an appropriate way, or it lacked the recovery at the beginning. This is again, the team is pushing updates, pushing updates, pushing updates. It's incumbent upon you as the user, if you want to adopt these early primitives, to keep up with the updates and make sure you're paying attention to the messaging that's coming out there. As of right now, you can definitely go on and you can ensure that you have a social recovery or a recovery option. And it's imperative that you do that ASAP if you haven't already.
Yeah, that's a good shout out. Just make sure you can go double check on your cloud under your wallet, and it'll tell you right there with the green check mark if you are backed up. So yes, make sure you got them ups backed up, fam. But yeah, I love to see that just this continued evolution, and yeah, it's going to be Ethereum for normies, crypto for normies, DeFi for normies, social fi for normies. It's just going to be like we're going to be able to onboard complete newbies into so many sectors that they otherwise couldn't even possibly get into. Way too complicated, right?
Yep, Ethereum for normies, but the only way the normies are going to stick around when they show up is if there's things for them to use.
Yes.
But we're in the early days of Luxo, right? And John Cavaliero, again, he was in London, he was at Oxford, and he gave us a quick little history lesson. And it happened while he was walking around taking pictures of things. And he said, hey, the history of blockchain equals the early days of the internet. Find the similarities. Okay, what does he mean by that? Well, rough consensus and running code. He says big projects like inventing a new network are commonly run from the top down. Think Luxo had to launch this as a centralized entity, kind of put all the code in place so that then companies and or standard setting bodies, or sorry, it's run by top down by companies or standard setting bodies. Think the parallel to Luxo. The young ARPANET community evolved on its own bottom-up style of productive yet unstructured group collaboration. Participants solved problems on their own and then contributed their solutions to the group as requests for comments. Think ERCs or LSPs. The best RFCs became standards. The oh man, meritocratic peer-reviewed approach was similar to the process for scientific research. That freewheeling style became a model for later projects, including the web and open source communities. If you wanted to go and read someone or have someone read to you very dry print, go somewhere today and have someone do that, and you accomplish that because I did it.
Mission
But
accomplished.
there's definitely the parallels here in that Luxo had to launch as this kind of like standard setting group at the beginning because they were putting together these novel ideas. But now that they have published these things and shipped them out and said, use them, now it's going to take a whole bunch of users to actually put the standards into motion, see how they can be composable, be put together, what you can reveal from the power of using them. And then as new ideas spring up, those ideas can be put out as new standards proposals, new LSPs that the community can discuss and choose whether or not to adopt. So, the power, again, the ball is in our proverbial court right now, right?
Yep.
We have to use it. We have to play the game as users of the network.
Yeah, we are the network effect. Yeah. So I mean, I used to use this analogy back in, the early days trying to onboard friends and family, just trying to use the analogy of, early days of internet versus early days of crypto, because it's like, well, once you look back, it becomes obvious after that has already played out, but like as it's happening, people they have a hard time understanding it unless you're in it. I mean, we're still getting adopted at twice the speed as the internet was. So it's actually still moving very fast, even though it seems slow when you're in it and it's painful. But yeah, we got another tweet from John actually. So he says here, if you're a developer and you're building a DApp, you launch, you expect people to start using it. Well, no, they can't. They need to go to an exchange to buy some native tokens to pay for the gas. And at this stage, like how many users have you lost? That's from Callum's presentation there. And I think that's what's key, right? Is that there needs to be, like you said before, there needs to be things to do, and there needs to be easy ways to do them if you're trying to onboard people, that are not native to this space for sure.
Yeah, and you will get the immediate person, I'm thinking of my brother, who will call me and say, "Yeah, but they can do this on XL2 for Ethereum, and doesn't that rug the value proposition of LUKSO?" And it's a very interesting discussion to have, and we go back and forth on it, and he challenges my assumptions, and I definitely challenge his. And also where I always arrive at when we have this discussion is we they you may be able to move gas fees down to almost a nominal amount with the Denkun upgrade on the L2s. You might be able to even abstract some gas away in a very specific wallet using 4337. But what you cannot do, and what no one has solved except Luxo, is this fully integrated identity, like this soft identity solution that Fabian talked about in his podcast that he did with Lucas last week. Um, this soft identity system that is formulated on top of the ERC 725 is an incredibly powerful tool, and it only exists on Luxo. It is uniquely Luxo. It's uniquely universal profiles. So although some of these other elements are leaking into the L2 infrastructure, they're not in any way near as matured a solution as universal profiles, right? Universal
Yeah.
profiles is meant to be a fully integrated solution around this identity that then brings all those other pieces in.
Yeah, exactly. You always see these different sectors, and especially with the L2s of like whether you're talking about account abstraction or identity or reputation. Well, I mean, not reputation, but like the other two. But like you see like little pockets of things like, okay, here's an element. Cool. That's a nice little bell or whistle, on an L2. But it's like, and they just kind of spread out all over the layer two ecosystem. But like what we're talking about is a smart contract based account that can just kind of do all those things natively on the layer one level. And that's just a completely different, monster that you're talking about. But it takes a while to kind of get that narrative going, which is kind of the phase that we're in now, is trying to get people to understand the difference between having everything tied to that actual core account where you can actually build reputation and identity, at that level.
Yeah, before we get to this video from Fabian, like look at the words there. Fully standardized, abstracted account available. That's fully standardized. Again, there are some wallets that are really pushing the boundaries, coming up with some innovative solutions, but they are one wallet that is now a competitor across lots of wallets for your attention in the entire blockchain space. There's no standardization to how they're building these solutions out. So to get a competitor to adopt your solution can be very, very difficult. Unfortunately, or unfortunately for them, let's say, Luxo has really thought this one through. Fabian is a stickler for standardization and interoperability, making the most basic building blocks that you need in order to develop on top of it. Have good ideas, but make sure that that they're backwards compatible with the fundament of the ecosystem. That is the power of Luxo. And that's really what we all have to keep in mind as we lose our mind while asset prices really get out of whack at the beginning of a bull cycle. The technicals and the fundamentals have not changed. In fact, they've only gotten better for Luxo. There have
Right.
been a few hiccups here or there, but at the core, this thing is improving and getting better and better and better. And there's going to come a time in the future where this standardized account abstraction is actually going to recede into the background enough that you might not even be aware that it's there.
Yeah. And that's when you're talking about true mass adoption, right? And we saw that same thing with the internet, going back to that, where you really like with email, right? Or just even internet, like it just all these, once you got past the point of where the average person had to understand all the inner workings of the code and how to technically do it, then just anyone can pick up a device or log on and just start doing these things. And that's what we're going to start seeing with blockchain before too long. And that's when you can actually really usher in, the average person.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. All right, we have a video queued up here from Fabian actually talking about this.
When you have a smart contract account, you're able now to build things that can actually change society as we know it. It allows for a digital identity that's fully self-sovereign, and it can interact with any kind of machines or systems and can verify itself because it uses cryptography and public key and signing, and it can interact with the blockchain it lives on itself. So that means you can interact with the protocols and assets that sit on that blockchain, which then allows for like systems where communities and even governments and organizations and all kind of ways of participation can happen that involve value transactions, that involve voting, that involve governance, and that involve interactions of communities across borders, and even interactions between people that don't know each other across borders.
My initial thought here is okay, so that's very similar to the line of the conversation that Fabian had in the podcast with Lucas about 10 days ago. I want to hear Fabian speak more about this, his forward-looking approaches into the future. He's pretty good at predicting future events. That's proven. I mean, look at where he is in
Yeah.
his life. I want to hear more about how he sees the future unfolding. Let's call it the next 5 to 10 years, specifically around identity. And I want to hear less of the talks of Fabian just explaining what Luxo is as a blockchain, because Fabian, I think, is charismatic and really opens my mind in ways that light it up, that are interesting
Yeah.
when he starts pushing the boundaries of the narrative versus like, yeah, you built this thing, you know, it's very technical talk. I feel like the magic of the wizard gets bogged down in the details. You know what I'm saying? Where like when he's allowed to just really give us his thoughts about where he thinks it's going and how the technology could enable us or get us there. I feel like that it really hits home. That's a good message.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I mean, what resonates with me for him, like, is he has this innate ability to be able to just, like, express things in so many different ways, which is just so fascinating. Because like, on the technical side, he's a wizard, right? He's just a legend, but even on the macro side, trying to imagine how humanity will adopt and evolve to use these things, the fact that he can, like, walk that line on both sides is just so amazing. Yeah, so I love when he gets my mind racing, towards new concepts and ideas that I hadn't even really considered yet. That's where the real fun, I think, is.
Yeah. So let's hear more from Fabian the futurist, right? And not that you can't talk about the other stuff, but Fabian the futurist is I think a sweet spot for messaging because it really helps us see what's possible in the blockchain. I'd love to hear more about how the ERC 725 account systems can it can really upgrade the Internet of Things. Like, what might that look like in my house? I mean, that's a really good narrative that we could push on.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're starting to see this exponential curve too of us evolving alongside of technology, right? So I think that merging is going to get really, really interesting. So these concepts will definitely come into play probably before we can really think they will, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, Alts, we got we got a tweet from Hugh in this section.
Yeah.
What do you
So
think?
I just kind of wanted to put a finger on the pulse of like the community and people, around my circle. I threw out a little poll on Twitter. Would you use DeFi on Luxo when it becomes available? About 80% said yes already, and that's like 400 votes, and there's still 4 days left in the poll. So seems like the fam is hungry for a little DeFi on Luxo, which would be great. I voted yes.
I voted yes as well because you know how we feel. Like we're taking that pink bunny stance. We need some way to store value on the network, and we need some way to transmit value that allows us to take it off the network and use in our day-to-day lives. Because I'm pretty sure that I can't pay for groceries with the chill token, and I'll say yet, right?
Yep, yep,
So
yep.
like it's a cool cultural currency, but I can't pay for groceries with it. So it'd be really nice to find some way to store that value. That's literally how fiat systems came up. Now, if you don't like fiat systems, I understand, but we can easily store in other types of cryptocurrencies. So let's
Yeah,
bring
for
that
sure.
value on chain.
I mean, we're just building that pyramid that we talked about, right, last week. We're just kind of, if we keep adding to that base, the rest of it it just raises everything else up in the process.
Yeah, okay. So again, and our top stories again, just talking about the fact that LUKSO is a general purpose EVM. It is a layer one that is super flexible with new standards, and you can build anything on it. So if you're limiting the conversation around LUKSO to just creative applications or saying that it's an NFT blockchain, you are selling it so short. Do not go out to the timeline and post that LUKSO is the NFT blockchain. You are, especially in an NFT bear market, you are just dooming yourself if you're trying to spread the word. Like, you need to be telling people what this thing is. It is a giant open field where you can build anything that you want,
Yes.
literally friggin' anything. So get people's minds to start to expand around that. And then if you want to layer in the LUKSO sauce, the little pink vibe, tell them about this fundament of the ecosystem, which is the social interactivity of the universal profile, and say that the universal profile is barely scratched. It's like an iceberg. You're seeing a small percentage of what it actually is capable of. Most of it is below the surface and unrevealed.
Yes, yes, yes. We're literally just offering the best building blocks and a fresh, clean slate to build with, on Luxo. So, who is building Trade Up? We got a little update from them. Good morning. We're excited to be building an important piece of the Luxo ecosystem. So, yeah, kind of what a little rundown is like. What you're going to be able to do on Trade Up. You can trade any asset on Luxo completely P2P OTC without any third parties. And you're talking about LSP 7s and 8s token standards and native licks. So love to see more dexes coming online. That's what we want, is just like more fun and easy ways to interact with this blockchain.
Yeah, I love this peer-to-peer trade. You can trade anything you want. I can trade, if I wanted to buy 5 Platties off of alts and I wanted to give them a certain amount of Lux token, a certain amount of chill, a certain amount of pink moon cheese, right? Which is out there now. If I wanted to give them a couple other NFTs, I could, and we could negotiate that. And we don't need a third party to escrow. Smart contracts do that through TradeUp. And that is the type of future that I want to live in. I don't want a middleman that's going to be rent seeking. I like smart
Yeah,
contracts executing.
we don't
And
need no middlemen here.
yeah, and we pin this after the DeFi segment, talking about a general purpose EVM, because TradeUp really seeks to, I think, be a bridge between that fully creative use case and again, that value storage mechanism, that value accrual mechanism that you can have as long as you have a velocity of goods, meaning like we're able to trade goods from one person to the other in a quicker way, let's say. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's great. I love it. Can't wait to give it a try.
Okie dokie. All right. Price action has absolutely sucked. So we're going to skip right over up and to the right because we've been going over and to the right for far too long right now. There might be reasons for it. I know it's Max Payne. I had a tweet that is not referenced here, but I'm verbally going to say it to you right now. If you are an OG, if you've been around for a while and you make it through what is effectively the middle of the desert with very little water, when we finally get through it to the other side, one, you're going to say that you've earned it and it's going to feel oh so good. But two, it's going to be a testament to your conviction behind a product, a team, a vision. And not everybody has that. A lot of people are just going to run around and FOMO into bags. And, they might make money, they might lose money. At the end of the day, they're going to be wrought with a lot of uncertainty, trying to find which bag is going to make them the most money while not losing them the money. And here, again, this is going to sound like this is going to might go over like a fart in church, is like, you have to be here because you like the tech, you see the possibilities in the tech. This is spoken from someone who thinks way too often about the token price, not because I'm like, man, I just want the token price to moon, but because I understand that token price goes up, everybody has more money to invest in the ecosystem to help this thing flourish more. So a depressed token price is not good for anyone. I don't care
Right.
what you think. But this is the early days. We're going to get through this. And at some point, we're going to catch a bid and people are going to be shocked. But who's not going to be shocked? Alts, the OGs who have believed and just stayed and followed the development of this ecosystem.
Yep. I mean, my vision's always been long term, and I always have, I'm always constantly watching the fundamentals and trying to imagine the value of that. And it's only gotten stronger, right? Obviously, the emotional side, we just have been taking it on the chin, for a while here now. But that goes both ways. It can only last so long, and then green days will be here before too long, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, shout out OGs who've just been chilling.
Okie dokie, Pinoki.
Well, let's check out some network, Pinoki.
Process.
We got our man Fico, who I believe is in Malaysia right now, I think. Anyway,
Looks like it.
says, what a feeling to update your Luxo nodes from the jungle, prepared for Denkun. All right, that's really cool. We got a message from the team that said, hey, you've got to update your node. So if you're a home staker, make sure that you're doing the maintenance on your clients, your execution and your validator clients to ensure that our blockchain is secure and safe. We don't need any more hiccups like we discussed last week.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So shout out to the stakers who've been updating. So we had a couple days ago, Luxo was at the Oxford Blockchain Conference presenting. They had a keynote and a workshop there, which is really cool. I love some of the taglines in the workshop. How to make your mark in Web3. It's not you, it's me. Breaking up with ERC20 and 721. That one made me giggle. But yeah, hopefully it was good vibes there.
Yeah, I'm
Love to
sure it
see
was
the
good
initiative.
vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it was good vibes. And what the architecture at Oxford is incredible. I've seen some pictures coming
Yeah.
out of there.
Yeah.
So kudos. I think, you know, we talk about people say all the time, where's the marketing? Well, this is the marketing, getting in front of the people who are building. And it's the only way to attract more. It's a let me walk this back for a second. People say we want token price to go up. We need users on the network. Well, if you bring users to the network and there isn't shit to do, they're not sticking around, right? And then what do you need? You need people to build the things for users to use. Well, how do you get builders here? Well, you need users. It's like a chicken and the egg thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so Luxo's really kind of attacking it on two fronts. The creative team was down at South by Southwest attacking the user onboarding, and we had more of a technical bent team that was at ETH Denver and now at ETH Pragma Global in London that is tackling the developer relations, which is actually really cool. We got a tweet from Louis. Louis said our DelveRail team just grew from 2 to 4. This means we'll have more resources to work on our docs, technical writing, and communication support, and so much more. Official announcements coming soon. So they've doubled the size of the manpower on their DevRel team. So instead of just Bianca and Felix, now we've got 2 more people, which is ultimately F word fantastic. I think that
Yes.
is great for the team. This is exactly what you need. Yeah, right. I need people who are going to get out there and speak the language to the people who are going to build the cool shit.
Yes. Go get it. Go bring on those dope builders. That's what we need. Just keep that momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually got another update here from the ERC725 account, Universal Profile. So third party
Third party wallet.
wallet recovery is now live for Universal Profile. So you can add a personal backup controller to recover your Universal Profile, either in the form of a private key if you haven't exported through a hardware wallet like Ledger, Trezor, or Lattice. So yeah, that's an awesome update there. I love to see these continued features getting added. And this is a really great one I've been waiting for.
Yeah, huge fan. I love that they're supporting Ledger, Trezor that only Jack uses, and then the Grid Lattice one, which is like the Lattice is a very interesting piece of equipment that I know my brother has. So I
Yeah,
like
it
the
is.
fact that we are moving the universal profile extension in the direction that it needs to go. The one thing that we're all looking for is now the mobile up, but when
When mobile up? That's what everybody wants to know, myself
soon,
included.
TM.
Soon, TM.
All right.
But yeah, so now we got another one from Jackie. Aha! Shout out. He's trying to find a buddy out there, a pen pal that also uses Trezor, so they can talk about how cool it is. If you find yourself using a Trezor, hit up Jack, and you guys can wallow in the mud together.
You'll be a party of 2. So, all right. So at ETH Denver, there was actually an interesting tweet that came out from John Cavaliero. The team was there onboarding people, but they were also hacking along. And
Yeah.
because we know our friend Jack Grills loves steak, and steak seems to be something that lots of people in our community like, the team put together a proof of stakes NFT collection on the Luxo testnet. Now, why is this interesting, Alts?
A lot of reasons. So one thing people don't quite get, or understand the potential, right? Is that obviously everybody knows about NFTs on Ethereum, but say you have a PFP collection of say 10,000 PFPs, right? And they all have their own traits and things, but it's like they all just share the same smart contract. And there's really not a lot you can do on chain with that, right? Now imagine if you had like even my clone, right? You're looking at me right now. So imagine so on Ethereum, it's all one smart contract. But if I existed on LUKSO, my clone would be a smart contract, but then like everything I'm wearing and all my trades could have their own what they call here collections and sub collections, which that just opens up a whole world of new possibilities, right?
Yes, a whole new world of possibilities. In this case here, they're talking about if you went and you butchered a cow, you could effectively have an NFT that would represent each steak cut off that cow. Interesting, right?
Yeah,
Each
interesting
steak.
analogy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like it's fun to think about. You could know the exact cow that your steak came from, and not only that, but like think about the efficiency from a logistics perspective that this could yield to like a rancher butcher type arrangement. Now, granted, I don't think we're going to see a butcher with like a scanning QR code logging steaks onto the blockchain yet, but it does demonstrate the power of these sub collections from a main collection. I have one cow, and inside that cow, I have these 10,000 NFTs, and then I have like these 10,000 cuts of meat, which is probably aggressive, but like
Right,
let's
right.
let's think about that. And then in underneath, I can have sub collections that break it out further in each one of those. Again, sub collections is filled with an individual token that represents the stake that was cut off. This could be expanded out to so many different use cases. It's really cool that the team demonstrated this use case because I think that this is going to give some really creative people some insight into what is possible by leveraging that kind of token use case.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's a really interesting experiment, and I'm glad they're doing stuff like that. It's really cool to just imagine new ways to utilize these standards. You know, it's kind of what it's all about.
What would be interesting is like also if you purchased a cut of steak from the same cow, we would know. And there would be some type of crazy social interaction that could come from that. I'd be like, oh man, how did you like Bessie? I had Bessie too. If you don't like eating meat, then granted, you're probably horrified that we're talking about this, but that type of social interaction is going to become like if we had a social block explorer, you could see everyone who purchased the filet from Bessie. And
That's
you could
great for
then
everybody, except Bessie.
yeah, yeah. But you could connect in the group of Bessie lovers and you could like do what Jack does, share pictures of his steak with his other friends,
Proof
you
of
know?
stake. Yeah, that's great. I love that concept. And yeah, I mean, you can imagine any sort of collection having a really interesting new utility in that way.
Yeah. Yep. So again, thank you team for demonstrating this kind of use case because it's just going to inspire others once they wrap their head around it to apply it in their own very specific ways to their own very specific interests and it's going to probably yield new experiments that people will find valuable and I'm
Yeah.
all for it.
Yeah, I am too. Totally, totally for it. So the next one up, we got one from Chamath here, which I thought was a really interesting thread going around. I won't really get into it too much because it's a super long thread, but I highly recommend checking it out. It's kind of the predictions on social media is dying and what social fi will look like moving forward. And kind of how it really just leans into like ways that these new standards and this new UX we're talking about could be leveraged in social fi in a lot of really cool ways. So yeah, we'll pin this down below. So definitely make sure you go check that out if you have not yet. It's really, really good read.
Yeah. So I'll pull out just a quick quote. It says, the real problem is a psychological one with social networks, and that's what we're dealing with. People, um, through a whole set of situations, have really lost belief in themselves. This is the point that he's making. Says this lack of self belief manifests as negativity, which makes social networks unusable for millions. Says, however, society can solve this by attaching a social cost to online interactions. We can hold people accountable by leveraging real world identity so there are reputational consequences for negative users. And two, economic frameworks where toxicity has a monetary price. Now, when we say real world identity, yes, it could be the real world identity in the physical dimension of a user. It could also be the soft identity of a blockchain account that has uh, reputational aspect built up based upon its transactions and interactions on the chain. Um, that's kind of where we're going with Luxo. We're probably not going more towards the real world identity, but we're definitely going to the place where, we all use Twitter, and how many anon accounts are out there telling you to go F off every day if you're in the spotlight, right? We see that shit all the time. If there was some way where there's a reputational consequence for being a complete asshole, maybe people would think twice before trolling others in such in a way where they literally can be keyboard warriors and have no repercussion or consequence brought to them.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, actually, that leads into our next tweet. We got one from Hugo actually, where it says, it looks like Web 2, but it's full Web 3, and this is where the fun begins. And this is kind of what we're kind of leaning into, is just kind of the merging of Web 2 and Web 3 in unique new ways. So what he's referencing here is Universal Page added a feed feature, where you can see profiles, actions, and kind of activity and collections and drops and all these things. It's just really cool. It's really cool to see this evolving in this manner. I really, really dig it.
Yeah, if you combine the suite of features that they have right now with the messaging feature that they dropped in the last hackathon, where you can peer-to-peer message people, and then you added an ability to reply to any one of the transactions that are on there, and you've built out an like a social media explorer that is connected to a decentralized account, which is your universal profile, as long as people use them. And it's also connected to this really interesting financial layer, right? Because you can move funds back and forth between accounts very seamlessly with
Yeah.
inside of this profile, or inside of this platform, I should say. You can also buy and sell your original art in this
Hmm.
platform. It's really interesting, and that's the direction we're going.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I'd love to see this continued push towards the social media side of Web3, right? And then the identity side. It's really, really great. And it's fun to see all the different activity and kind of, imagine fast forward as the network really gets moving. It's going to be pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
So let's get into some pink stuff.
Almost everything I have on is pink, and it's my favorite.
Check out the pinkest tweet. All right, so first up, we got one here from Underwear. Dope artist. Always love your work. Yeah, the pink pill is actually a doorway. So they got a giant pink pill here, and this avatar, this underwear creature, is heading inside. Looks like. Yeah. So I mean, and it really hit home for me because we all know a pink pill is a doorway into the future.
It is the one. It's like the one platform, the one project that I gotten involved with, and it just sucked me, and I never could leave it. And yeah, in that way, it's like a doorway to the future, because once you see the possibilities of this social layer that unifies the experience on the blockchain, you ask yourself, why the hell would I want to be anywhere else? In the short term, it might be a little painful to be here because we're early, and like Alex Van de Sande said, sometimes being right too early is being wrong, and I live with that every fucking day, because I
Nice.
definitely was early to the party on Luxo. As many of you know, Alt and I have been doing this for years now.
Yep.
But someday we'll be vindicated, because this is the the tech is real, the idea is real. There is no doubt that this is going to make its mark on the greater space, on the greater world.
Yeah, yeah, our trajectory has not changed. Zoom out, we're still headed in the right direction, fundamentals wise. So we're gonna leave our mark in Web3. That feels pretty certain.
Yeah. All right, we got a nice one here. This is actually look at that pink swag, that Luxo beanie. I wish I had one. I mean, I'll take all the Luxo swag, but it says rain,
Yeah.
rain, come and stay. Interesting. I wouldn't want the rain to ever come and stay, but maybe she's saying because it'll make flowers. But I'm pretty sure she picked up this hat at the Boys Club event. And that is the reason that I'm bringing this up, Alts, because there's a lot of question like, what is the interaction with Boys Club really bringing to the network? And I do see some posts on the internet that are less than kind about it. But if you talk to the people on the ground, and we know this because we send we said sage.licks from KEEZ to all these events, and Sage goes, and he is our reporter, our eyes and ears there. You would be floored at the people who know about Luxo, who are interested in Luxo, who are talking about Luxo, who are at these events. They're not people that I'm going to name right here in the context of this podcast, because I don't think that's necessarily appropriate. Alts, right? Like, I don't want to be that guy. But I can say on the ground, the power players that go to these events and interact with the LUKSO business development, interact with Marjorie, interact with LUKSO in general, although we don't see the immediate dividends of it happening, like you're not immediately seeing it reflected in token price, LUKSO is not unknown, right? It's not
Right.
unknown. It needs to just have its time. That's all.
Yeah, and that's true. And it's like you're gonna see. I think that's where people the disconnect happens a little bit. They can't quite imagine what that translates to on the other side, right? But it feels like those wheels are still in motion, and a lot of bigger people in the space know about LUKSO. We don't hear them talking about it yet, right? And maybe there's a lot of reasons for that, So we just continue to be patient. But when those fruits of that labor on that side come to fruition, I think it's going to bear some amazing flowers, right?
Yeah, bear some amazing flowers. I'm a big fan. Big fan. All right. And the winner of the Pinkest tweet this week is the LUKSO co-founder Marjorie Hernandez for the pink cowboy hat, Embrace the Chain. Now, that was a polarizing hat. I saw some comments on Twitter. I had some discussions coming around to it, though. Like Sage said, it's a really neat party favor. Lots of photos were taken with the pink hats on from some really big power players in the space. So although we might not see, again, doubling down, we might not see the immediate benefit of this type of interaction. I think this is a situation where we have to give it time. On the one side, we have our marketing that is going on to developers in places like London right now. We also have, like, it's very easy for us to be like, for a developer to be like, hey, I talked to this person. On the biz dev side, you can't really come out and say I talked to this person. It's a much trickier world, right? Because you don't disclose business relationships. But
Right. Yeah, exactly.
it was Sage who brought my mind around on the pink cowboy hat, said it was a really neat party favor, and a lot of very powerful people, real key decision makers were enjoying it as a party favor at the party. So, okay, I will take your word for it, Sage, and appreciate you being the eyes and ears of the community.
Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of those things too is we might not see the bigger scope things until a couple more elements get developed, on the development side of the technical side, right? So, yeah, I mean, at some point, those things are going to kind of power up together and just create something that we haven't seen before in the space, right? So I think we're heading down the right path for sure.
Heading down the right path. Only time will tell. I mean, it's going to take some time to reveal what's happening here, but that's the pinkest tweet. Congrats, Marge. You did it.
Congrats. Well, let's head into a little fame section.
I didn't strive for success. I strived to do something artistically important.
All right. Well, first up, we got one from LUX brand, Lux brand. So we got a little pink legendary alpha here that Beef dropped on the every currency little podcast. It was great. So that Raz Terms is original piece and that's inspired by LUKSO. That's going to be dropping on Universal Page on March 19th. So the total supply is going to be only 100 and the mint price is 7.25. It's a really good nod to the ERC 725, of course, and LSP 0. It actually says all Lux bot holders will have their piece airdrop to them. So I'm bummed about that because I could not get one of those when it minted. But yeah, it's a beautiful piece. I really like Raz's art. It was a street artist, like graffiti artist that has some amazing accolades, doing some really, really dope stuff.
Yeah, let's hear from Beef announcing on Everything Currency.
So we actually are going to be unveiling it right now with you.
Oh, nice. So I got an exclusive?
You got an exclusive.
Let's go.
Yes. So I'm happy to announce and proud to announce that Lux brand or LUX brand has partnered with Ross Terms, aka James Monk, a prominent graffiti street artist who was born and raised in Miami and currently lives in California. He's been graffitiing since he was 11. He's got 47,000 followers on Instagram, 10,000 on Facebook. He's known as a letter master in the graffiti world and a builder of letters. And he kind of blends contemporary art with his letters nowadays and creates some super cool visual stuff. He's been featured in the Miami Museum of Graffiti, and we're just really excited to help him cross into the LUKSO chain. So Yeah, we're really excited. It's his first piece for LUKSO, and you know it's going to have that pink pill flavor.
Yeah.
And in the next couple weeks, we'll be announcing the mint date. So yeah, so be on the lookout for that.
What I like about this alts is it's two community members that are very loyal, Beef Banks and Mints, going out there, making relationships and onboarding really incredible physical artists, people who are out there that might not know anything about Luxo, and bringing them into the Pink family. If we had more people doing this, we would have more interaction, more neat shit going on. And it really, anyone can do this. So I love it. Big fan.
Yeah, yeah, I love it too. I love to see kind of inroads to new sectors and new pockets, out in Web 2, onboarding people. That's kind of what we're all hoping for, is to get some new faces, doing this experiment that we call Luxo. So another one actually here is from the District VR. They have a progression by district, a hybrid event in Ibiza, at Club Chinois. So yeah, that's they got a couple of you notice anybody there on the list there that's going to be performing? You
Yeah,
recognize
man,
anybody?
Leadfoot,
Yeah, shout out Leadfoot.
the
Love to
foot
see it.
himself.
And looks like they're gonna be having it's gonna be partnered up with Mobily and Armada. And he actually kind of teased that there might be a digital version of this as well, for the fan that's not gonna be there in Ibiza. But yes, another awesome entryway into the Web 2 side of things.
Yeah, District VR is one of those projects that just is lingering in the background,
Yeah.
waiting to just blow people's minds. So, we have to wait for it, but I love the fact that this is going to be a VR DJ coming through. So there's a good chance that the people in that club are going to get a taste of what the District VR is and what a VR DJ is going to look like. And I think that's going to blow some friggin' minds. And Leadfoot always throws it down, which is cool.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, let's move on to the last section of the show here, Speculation Nation.
Let's do it.
I'll never get enough of that air horn, honestly. So Uphold. Uphold. They tweet a pink square and say, April at Uphold is looking pink. Now, I don't, again, Speculation Nation, because Fabian tweeted the face about it that looks skeptical. I don't know what's going to happen here, but it makes for good speculation because I don't know of another blockchain that's pink.
Right. That's what Speculation Nation is all about. Just trying to little hopium for the fam. But yeah, I mean, it would be great. We'd love to see us listed on Uphold. That would be awesome.
Yep. We've been begging for Oracle. So in the second piece of Speculation Nation, we actually had John Cavaliera visit the Chainlink stand. Now, maybe we shouldn't, maybe it's irresponsible to speculate that Chainlink is on its way to Luxo. So let's walk that back. One of the main reasons that we wanted to put this up here is Sean said ETH Denver contains so many booths and stands. It was really impressive. He learned really how important it is to have a large booth with great design banners that stand out. Think the Luxo booth, man. That thing was like a beacon of pink, just drawing people in. John says it's important so that developers get interested in your project and approach you. And he liked the Chainlink booth where you could go and you could sit around a miniature fire on a stump and have a conversation. Maybe hop in the tent, take a nap.
Yeah, it was a really cool setup there. I really liked. I was looking through the pictures of just like this campsite, all CCIP branded stuff. I was really well done. But that's and and that's one of the things, going to these events, you understand, like, the people that have really good branding and a really good booth and layout and things, it actually makes a huge difference because people want to come check it out. They're like, oh, this looks interesting, or they're like, they want to, it's comfortable and just a nice space to be in and to hang out and learn. So which we see, same thing happen with those Luxo booths, right? They're always really well done.
Yeah. So we put that up there for two reasons. One, it's great to see anyone talking with an Oracle. I'm not going to
Yes.
speculate that it's going to be Chainlink, but because we have a dire need of Oracles currently on Luxo, great to see someone talking to
Yeah.
Oracle infrastructure. And then second, for the amount of people that are like, what's actually going on? Why is this pink important for this booth in ETH Denver? And why is the branding like this? Well, booths have to be eye catching. In a conference, you could have an endless supply of people looking to grab your attention that all look the same. Why not be the unicorn, right?
Right. Yeah. Well said. Well said. Why not be the unicorn? Let's be the unicorn in Web3.
Mm, Not Uniswap the unicorn, though.
No, we'll be A pink one. Wait, there's just pink too.
So I'm looking over my shoulder because at the window something's going on. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? All right. All right. Yeah. Well, if you made it this far, then thank you. You somehow made it to the closing of the show. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thank you all for the support. And as part of the closing, we got a meme for you. What brought traction to Solana, Binance, and Ethereum? People looking how to buy the plus 1000% meme coin they saw on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko. What will bring traction to LUKSO? Maximus thinks it's going to be meme coins, says objects in the mirror closer than they appear. LUKSO meme coins. This came out right about the same time that people noticed there was pink moon cheese. Again, in 5 days, there could be freaking 100 more tokens. I have no idea, but I do know that, this meme coin virus, once it starts, it gets pretty hot.
Yeah, objects in the mirror close. This always makes me think of that Jurassic Park scene. That sequence is one of my favorite ever. When it's like the most scariest part of the film, and then it's like you have this little objects are closer. It's like, oh my god, it's even worse than you think.
Things are bad. No, things are really fucking bad.
Oh, but yeah, I love to see the vibes. But yeah, so if April, so I got a question for you before we head out, Eth. If April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring?
Sun showers.
Pilgrims.
That was a good one. I like that.
Yeah, I literally just like I was like, well, I forgot to grab a joke today. I literally just did it. So yeah, it was a perfect timing because we were talking about the flowers and the rain earlier. So it was actually worked out perfect. Thanks, universe. But yeah, hopefully, April and May bring some green candle showers for us.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I'd like to see the green stalks of the future flowers start to grow up, because right now they're just buried in the ground like seeds in the mud.
Yeah, well, we appreciate every one of you taking the time to watch us live as always, and for those of you who were tuning in on your own time, we appreciate it. Hope everybody's Friday is going really great, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Any last parting messages before we head out, Eth?
No.
Well, then you know what to do. Stay pink.